Hey SMU crew, are you guys ready? Because I'm going to teach you how to learn to love LinkedIn. LinkedIn, you guys, is quite possibly the most powerful platform out of all of the social media platforms. LinkedIn is the one that I go back to over and over and over again. Why? Because it works. So let me tell you my background in LinkedIn and how I got started utilizing this incredibly powerful platform. I actually worked at a digital marketing agency about 3.5 years ago. And I was working at this agency and they were using LinkedIn for lead generation. But their process was a little bit spammy. Basically, they would bait people into looking at their profile page and then sending them this really long, over the top, very old school, black, salesy pitch. And I really didn't like it, but I noticed the process. And the process was that they were basically using LinkedIn as a way to connect with people. This process really and truly inspired me. And I thought, I wonder what this could do. Now, let me tell you, at that digital marketing agency, I was making about $30,000 a year. So, not a ton, especially not with two kids and a family and bills and all kinds of stuff. So, I actually applied the principles that I was taught in the process at the digital marketing agency and actually negotiated my way into a $64,000 salary. Amazing, right? Like, this was absolutely life changing for me and for my family. But then as I started to work at my 9 to 5, I found myself getting more and more frustrated about the rules and feeling like I was always going to work for the man. Not to mention the day I got written up, I had had it. I was seriously so frustrated, you guys. So I decided to try and just see if that process would work for getting clients. Before you know it, I got a $1,000 per month client. But that didn't stop there. In fact, I secured $32,000 in client contracts using the power of LinkedIn. Okay, do you believe me that it's powerful yet? I hope so, because we're going to dive on in over the next few trainings. Ready? You're going to learn to love LinkedIn.
Hold up.
All right, are you ready for it? Are you ready to take a tour of LinkedIn with me, your trusted host for this awesome tour? Let's dive on in. So, upon signing in to your LinkedIn account, you are going to be presented with a homepage. And the homepage is pretty simple. There's essentially a news feed, some stats on your profile and what's happening, some different ads over on the side, some trending topics. It's pretty simple. Now, one thing that's kind of cool is you may have this opportunity available, and this will come in handy down the road as we dive into just the intro to LinkedIn ads, and you can see if it's a good fit for you and where you're at this time. Now, there are several different tabs across the very top of your LinkedIn profile. We've got our home page, which we have already explored. You have My Network, which is going to show you the invitations from people wanting to connect, your current number of connections, your ability to import your contacts, people you may know, and then obviously there's going to be some ads over on the side here. Next up, we have jobs. Now, this isn't something that's necessarily going to come in handy. I know people oftentimes say, like, Rachel, what if I apply for a job and try to pitch them on my ability to work as a contractor or as a freelancer? It can work sometimes, but I'm going to be totally honest, it hasn't been the most effective method that I've seen when it comes to getting clients until you really have your voice, your confidence, and your ability to understand the type of ROI that you can bring in. Because ultimately, that's what a job is going to be looking for. If you can communicate that, then you're all set to search for jobs in your area or even in other countries and pitch them on the opportunity of becoming a freelancer. But like I said, I don't recommend this for most people because your goal is to get the maximum bang for your buck when you're first diving on into loving LinkedIn. Next up, we have the messaging section. This is going to show you where all of your messages are, the messages that have come into your inbox, and you can simply click on each message in order to see exactly what conversations you followed up with. There are also settings here so you can look at your archived messages, your unread ones, your in-mail ones, your spam ones, and you can also create messages here if you know the name of the person that you want to send a message to. On the next tab, we have notifications, and notifications are pretty simple on LinkedIn. I'm thankful I get quite a few notifications when people comment on my videos or like my videos. I have a lot of content that goes out on LinkedIn. So this is basically where you keep up to date with your most recent notifications. Next up, we have your profile tab. This is similar to Facebook. So it's that drop-down menu that gives you access to your ability to view your profile, to look at your settings and privacy, access the help center, as well as a couple of other different things, including managing pages on Facebook. Now, next up we have work. I'll be totally honest, I don't really use this. This is mostly related to, for example, the Sales Navigator and different ways that they can upsell you. So I don't really worry too much about this. Now, I am currently on a free profile, but what you definitely can do is have premium. And actually what I recommend as you go through the 10-day challenge, what I recommend is activating a 30-day free trial of premium. You can use business or the Sales Navigator. I personally prefer business. It's a great way to get your profile started, spend 30 days hitting everything hard and not hitting any limitations. But then of course you have to decide if you want to continue with premium LinkedIn or not. See, LinkedIn really isn't that scary. It's just a simple platform. It's very easy to navigate now that you've gotten the official tour from me, and we're going to dive in even more in depth into every single section of your profile. This is going to be so much fun, you guys. Let's do this.
Hold up.
Yep, you read that right. How I doubled my salary using LinkedIn. So, as we first dove on into LinkedIn, and I shared with you, I had an awesome story about going from $30,000 a year to a $64,000 a year job. Let me just tell you guys, this is so crazy. And this is how powerful LinkedIn is. I really wasn't a marketing expert. So, how in the world did I land a job making $64,000 a year? Well, let me just tell you, I cracked the code. I started to see that there were certain trends that were happening on LinkedIn, and I wanted to figure out exactly what those trends were. So, as I started to implement them, I went to a job offer that I actually found crazily enough through LinkedIn, and I applied for this job. When they asked me how much I wanted to make, somewhere, some way, some crazy how, I got the nerve to ask them for $60,000. Now, keep in mind, that was double my salary at the previous job that I was holding. And this is more money than my family has ever made. So, this was like absolutely life changing. Can you imagine that moment of like fear and scared inside of your stomach? I somehow came up with the nerve to ask for $60,000. But what happened next was crazy. They offered me $64,000. Absolutely life changing. I went home and bawled my face off. My husband and I felt like our lives were changed forever, which absolutely, it was the start of something big. But after several months in my 9 to 5, I got fed up. I realized that $64,000 wasn't enough because I was working 8 to 5 every single day, exhausted, feeling like I was, not getting enough time with my family. I didn't love the job that I was working in. It wasn't terrible. But then when they wrote me up for missing work when my daughter was sick, I had it. That was the last straw. I thought, wait a minute. Could this work to get clients? Kind of a crazy and preposterous idea. So I decided to give it a try, and I started to implement those techniques that you're going to be learning about in this training. I started to implement them to secure clients. and I generated $32,000 in client contracts. And this is fast, you guys. This was just 3 months in. I generated 32,000. And keep in mind, I was the first person to go through the equivalent of the 10 days to 1K LinkedIn challenge. I was the first person to test this out. So I didn't even do it as fast as you are going to be able to, because you have all of the steps laid out for you. You have a proven path. So what I want to see is you jumping on in, believing me, trusting me, and knowing that this process can work for you. Basically, it all started with this process that I call the LinkedIn makeover. So are you ready? We're going to dive on into it in the next training.
Hold up.
Oh my, yes, it is time. We're diving on into the LinkedIn makeover. This is what is so responsible for me being able to double my salary and then attract clients and then secure a ton of clients and ultimately create the 10 days to 1K process by living it out. I'm so excited to share this with you guys. So I hope you have a pen and paper ready. If you don't, this would be a good time to pause this training so that you can take notes and feel ready to take action. You ready for it? All right, phase 1, your profile picture. Now, your profile picture on LinkedIn is going to be a little bit different, and we'll dive into exactly why as I show you how to update your profile picture. Phase 2, your headline. Quite possibly the most important part of your entire LinkedIn profile. Your headline is essential to securing leads on LinkedIn. Phase 3, your cover photo, a great way to stand out in the crowd. Phase 4, your bio. As crazy as it is, this is a place where you can actually sell people on your services before you even talk to them on the phone. Phase 5, you're going to join LinkedIn groups, and I'll show you why that's important when we dive on into your profile for the makeover. Phase 6, recommendations. Now, recommendations are a little bit different. I'll show you kind of the ways that you can get around it if you haven't worked with clients before, or if you have worked with clients, a great way to leverage those relationships. Phase 7, education. Phase 8, skills. Phase 9, making your profile public. And phase 10, articles. So as you hop on into your profile on LinkedIn, the very first thing that I mentioned was your profile photo. This is one of the places where I actually see most people making mistakes. The goal is to have an approachable, friendly, but yet professional profile photo that attracts people to you. And remember, most of the time when people are viewing your profile, it's really, really small. So you want something that stands out. I've tested so many different profile photos. This one is the one that converts the best for where I'm at in my business right now. But generally speaking, just a smiling photo of me facing the camera is one of the best ways that you can get a great photo. And if you're uncertain as to which photo you should use on your LinkedIn profile, feel free to drop a couple of the different options that you have into the SMU Crew Facebook group and ask the community to vote and tell you which one is the best for your LinkedIn profile. Remember, it's not about where you necessarily look the best or feel the best. It's about what gives off your best foot forward. Phase 2, we're going to dive on into the headline. Now, the thing about headlines is there's a couple different ways to approach them. I'm going to share with you a couple of the different ways that I've seen them used. So, for example, I currently have a benefit-based headline. It shares with business owners exactly what I do and why they would want to hire me. But another example of one that I've seen is one where you focus on benefits. For example, generate leads. And then you're going to add this interesting line thing, generate leads, organic social media growth, and fill in a couple of benefits there. Or some people do this, and I don't really recommend this. You could add a title, digital marketing strategist, and a benefit from here. that you offer to business owners. So there are a couple different ways to organize it. I'm a huge fan of the simple sentence that basically shows business owners exactly what it is that you can do for them. Now, phase 3 is your cover photo. This is kind of fun because this is an opportunity to showcase your personality, your branding. It's an opportunity to catch people's attention because your profile will stand out. I created this simple graphic in Canva, and if I can create a graphic this simple, you can create something very beautiful, I'm sure, using Canva or Photoshop, whatever it is that you use to create graphics. Or you can simply get an image from Pexels, from Unsplash, maybe Pixabay, or even Creative Market. Phase 4 is your bio. Now keep in mind, as you'll notice here, some of the bio is actually cut off. So right now, as we're looking at my profile, it's only the first couple lines that initially show up until we click Show More. So you want those first couple of lines to really grab people's attention. Now, I haven't optimized my profile in a while. It needs a little bit of a LinkedIn makeover. But what I recommend is to feature some pretty impressive wins, whatever it is that you can stack as a win. When I stack a win, basically what that process looks like, it means that I am delivering kind of the benefits that I can give to a business owner or talking about my areas of expertise. Here, I know that there's a brag and a couple of stacked wins. And ultimately what this does is it brings in people who are going to be looking for exactly what I offer when it comes to benefits. So filling your profile with a great win stacked bio is essential. And remember, you have to make those first couple of lines really count because sometimes that's all that shows. Now, clearly I really need a LinkedIn makeover, but when possible, I highly recommend adding media. So if you've created attractive graphics or some type of lead magnet or something that represents you and your work well, I really recommend adding that media into your bio. Next up, we're going to scroll on down and take a peek at the groups that you are a part of. Now, obviously, there's a whole bunch of random stuff in here. You might be like, oh my gosh, this is so confusing, and you'll want to continue to fill it out as much as possible. But I'm focusing on the things that are going to get you the biggest bang for your buck. So when you scroll all the way down, you're going to see interests. Now, when it comes to interests, you can follow influencers, you can follow companies' pages, and you can follow groups. Now, I'm a big fan of joining groups that have your target market in them because there's actually an awesome little perk of being a part of a group that allows you to connect with more people, which is pretty cool. So I am a huge fan of thinking of what kind of groups my target market would be in. For example, Small Biz Forum, e-commerce network, executives, entrepreneurs. Yep, perfect, perfect, perfect. These are all great groups for me. So I want you to actually join a couple of groups that you think your target market is likely to be a part of. Then from there, we actually are going to focus on recommendations. Recommendations are a powerful part of your profile that not everybody thinks about. I am a huge fan of recommendations because I think it just speaks so highly to your level of work. Now, recommendations, you can see here, what you do with recommendations basically is you ask for a testimonial or an experience-based words of praise that someone can give you. Now, if you've never worked with clients before, a way to do this ethically is to ask your peers, your coworkers, maybe a past boss, maybe a friend or a family that can vouch for your character and your passion about marketing. Now, like I said, it can be a character-based thing. Your goal with your recommendations is to get as many as possible and to ultimately be showing that you're credible. You're not a scam artist who's just going to take people's money and run. Your goal is to get 2 to 3 solid recommendations from people who know, like, and trust you. After your recommendations, you're going to want to focus on your education. Now, keep in mind, education is a little bit of an iffy thing. You don't necessarily have to have a relevant education, but if you don't have any education that you're proud to put on your LinkedIn profile, that's where I actually highly recommend stepping it up in the volunteer experience area. This can be a great place to make up for lack of an education where you have shown excellence in volunteer work, in being excited or passionate about something, or committed for a period of time. Skills come up next. I really enjoy skills, even though they definitely have changed quite a bit. Basically, if you have skills that are related to anything not in marketing, I recommend that you switch those out. Add new skills until you have the top 10 in your profile focused on marketing, and maybe delete the ones that aren't valid anymore. So, I personally have a lot that has to do with leadership, marketing, social media, and people go ahead and endorse me. So, obviously, I have 99 plus on almost every single one of these. I'm a huge fan, though, of filling out your skill set with all of the different skills that you offer because it's going to show that you have expertise in this area. Because after all, you're going to become an expert. Next up, we have making your profile public. Now, this is really important because when you make your profile public, it gives people the ability to ultimately see your profile, connect with you, engage with you. So we're going to go ahead and click on my profile drop down here, click on settings and privacy. From there, we're going to go ahead and choose our site preferences. So when we dive on into the privacy settings, basically what you want to do is make your profile as public as possible. And also make sure to change your profile viewing options so that you can see and others can see when you visit their profile. You want that to happen because then they get curious and they can't help but go back to your profile to learn more. I also recommend sharing profile edits because from this point on, when you edit your profile, you're most likely adding more wins, you're adding recommendations, you're adding media, and you want that to go out to your network. So change this setting here, this is the most important part, as well as your profile viewing option. And lastly, we're going to dive on into articles, phase 10. Now with articles, the cool thing is you can definitely repurpose some of your old blogs. As I scroll on down to look at my articles and activity, we have quite a few decent articles that I've put together. Now, what I recommend with your articles is to ultimately create articles that deliver a ton of value. Like I said, if you have a blog already in marketing or social media, feel free to repurpose a post that is an article. But what I recommend is that you actually go ahead and craft an article. Now, if you're not sure how to do this, what I recommend is going to your home page, and from there you're going to see the option to write an article. Go ahead and write an article, and before you share it with your whole network, feel free to drop it in the SMU Crew Facebook group so that everyone can give you feedback on what they think about your new article and ways that you can make it better before you really share it with your network and go public with it. Are you ready? You've got the 10 steps that it takes to make over your LinkedIn. So it's time, go for it.
Hold up.
So if you were like me at all, you might be saying, well, that's great, Rachel. You have all of these awesome skills that you can put into a LinkedIn profile, and it makes a ton of sense. But let me be honest with you. I didn't really know how to brag on myself. I didn't know what key words to use. In fact, I felt like all I knew was just kind of how to write some stuff, do some stuff on social media, do some stuff on LinkedIn, and kind of get some cool results. So it was through the process of expert keyword research that my world was absolutely rocked. Are you ready for what expert keyword research is? Essentially, I studied the profiles of all of the top influencers in social media, in marketing, in other different fields as well. And I began to see this interesting trend. I noticed that every single profile had all of what seemed like the right words. And I felt like maybe I knew how to do some of those things. I just hadn't positioned myself right. For example, if you know how to write, there's a chance that you are probably a copywriter. If you're great at writing, crazy, huh? If you speak on stages in front of groups of people and you're comfortable with it, you're a speaker. If you like to create little silly graphics and you have fun with it, or you like to do something funny in Photoshop, a meme and make it hilarious. Guess what? You know how to do content creation. So as I began to discover this trend, what I realized was that the experts all had this kind of code. They all seemed to know exactly what words to put into their profile to get massive attention. So what I did is a process that I call profile hacking. What I did is I took out a piece of paper and pen and actually studied tons of the top experts' profiles. And I wrote down every single word, keyword, phrase, key phrase that stood out to me as something that I knew how to do, but I just hadn't thought to position it in that way. And as I wrote down this list of keywords, I had a massive, massive just list of resources that I knew that I was going to be able to put into my profile that I had never thought to include before. Up until this point, everything had been done just in a very humble or modest way. It was time to finally stack my profile full of the words that explained and expressed appropriately what it is that I knew I had burning inside of me. Now, beneath this video is a list of the top experts. So what I put together is this list of experts in organic social media, paid advertising, Facebook ads predominantly, and marketing. And I want you to go ahead and profile hack all of those experts. See what words you haven't thought to use before when you describe this new thing that you're learning. And if you're like, I don't know a whole bunch, okay, take what you do know and honestly stack your profile with as many of those keywords as you can without not telling the truth. And as you become more and more skilled, as you dive into the trainings of SMU, you're going to find that more and more of those words apply to you over time. So feel free to dive on into that list and even create your own list of experts that ultimately is going to be your profile hack list. I can't wait to see you hack those profiles.
Hold up.
Another very powerful trend that I noticed with all of the experts is they all seem to have relevant articles. Why? Because articles are for experts. Now, what I want you to do when you share an article on LinkedIn is to share your voice. I know at first you might feel a little bit confused. What is my voice? How do I have the right to write as an expert? But what I recommend is until you find your voice, copy what's working for other people. Now, I'm not talking plagiarism or completely stealing their content. What I'm saying is look for inspiration from other experts who have gone before you, who have found their own voices. And if you don't know exactly how to write inspired by them, and then down the road, you're going to find your voice. If you're already comfortable with writing in your own voice, excellent. It's time to dive on in. Now, I am going to give you permission to repurpose your blog posts on LinkedIn. Since it's a closed network, it doesn't affect your SEO. So you can go ahead and post it. It's not going to affect anything, but go ahead and repurpose any of your old blog posts, or if you have long form social media posts, feel free to absolutely reuse those. Now, what you're going to want is an attractive graphic, because the graphic is going to be what instantly pulls people in. I'm a huge fan of graphics that ultimately show something surprising, something that gets people to stop scrolling, something that's a little different or visually super appealing. You can find those for free at Unsplash or Pexels, or you can purchase graphics at the Creative Market, one of my absolute favorite places for super attractive graphics. Now, the key to this is the title or the headline of your article needs to hook people in. They need to desperately want to read what it is that you're posting. So instead of saying 10 social media tips, you could say the 3 social media tips you cannot survive without in 2018. Make it exciting. Make it something that you would say, yep, I want to click on that. And then from there, the first line of your article should be an attention grab. Say something shocking. Tell them a story. Make them laugh. Make them say, whoa, that is not what I thought it was going to be. You're going to keep it simple with 3 to 5 major points. This is the easiest way to create an awesome article. They changed it on me. And then you're going to have a concluding paragraph. Now, here is the power of articles for experts. You don't just want a concluding paragraph that says, well, in summation or in conclusion, point 1, point 2, point 3. You're going to implement a call to action. Now, what that means is you're going to invite them to learn more, maybe on your website, maybe on your podcast, maybe in your full-on blog. You're going to invite them to reach out, maybe to send you an email with your email address right there if they want to learn more. Or even if you're feeling bold, to book a call with you and your team and go ahead and insert the link to your calendar. Pretty cool, huh? Or if you have a solid funnel strategy into place, it's a great place to add your lead magnet in, especially if your blogging and article strategy aligns with your lead magnet strategy. If this applies to you, you already know exactly what I'm talking about. It's time for you to do it. Now, I want to see you go post an article. And remember, the bigger your network gets, the more connections that you have, the more people are going to see the posts that you put out there. So go for it. I can't wait to see your articles come to life.
Hold up.
You are invited. Congratulations! You are invited to the biggest networking party of the century. Yeah, it's LinkedIn. I want you to embrace the new mindset that is LinkedIn. In the past, people kept to themselves, but I want you to see it like it's a networking party. You don't go to a networking party or a networking event and just sit with your friends that you came with, right? No, definitely not. You're going to connect with new people, build your network, make potential partnerships or client relationships. It's a new way to approach LinkedIn. It's the exact same on LinkedIn these days. Now, some people used to put on their profile Lion, which is LinkedIn Open Networker, meaning they were open to networking with new people. But LinkedIn's changed a lot and people are more comfortable with this mindset. So you don't have to put it on your profile, but you can just feel free to join the greatest networking party of the century. Now, I'm going to need you to get your thumbs and your fingers warmed up because you are going to be doing a lot of repetitive motion. I'm going to teach you exactly how to search for people based on location, job titles, industry, and second-degree connections. Now, the purpose of these 4 things is to ultimately find people who could potentially be leads or clients in your industry. Now, let's dive on in to see exactly what that looks like. So this is how you do a search. And keep in mind, I'm using free, but if you start the 10 days to 1K challenge, you're going to want to do the 30-day trial of Business or Sales Navigator Premium. But on free, you can still search quite a bit. So let's say we want to search for people. There are 4 criteria that we're going to follow: location, industry, titles, and second-degree connections. So to start, you have to search for something, okay? So we're going to search for presidents. Now, there are several different job titles that you're going to want to focus on. So from here, we have the ability to add more filters on. So what you're going to do is you're going to add in all of the titles that you want to reach. I'm a huge fan of going directly to decision makers. So you can enter president or CEO or founder or what else? Chief Operating Officer, and you can pick the titles that you want. So some people swear by Director of Marketing or Marketing Manager. I personally prefer to go straight to the top. So come up with all of the decision maker titles. You might want to also add in speaker or coach or author. Now, you don't have to enter all of these. You could focus specifically on authors here. It totally works just fine. So that's how I get this all set up. And remember, you want to add a space, capital OR space, in order to have all of those work. So this is criteria number 1. Criteria number 2, you're going to search for second degree connections. This is essential because your first degree connections are people you're already connected with. Third degree connections are people you have no connections in common with, but second degree connections are people you have a connection with already. And this will quickly expand, I'm sure you can imagine. Your second degree connection is going to be essential because this is where people are going to feel like they already have the know, like, and trust with you. Then you can pick the locations you want to target, maybe all of the United States, maybe United Kingdom, maybe Canada. Those are the 3 best markets I found so far for clients. But you may say, you know what, I have my best luck in Minneapolis or New York. Totally fine. You can pick the locations that you want to search in, but that is really important. And then if you are looking for people in specific industries, feel free to try it. Let's see, we could do e-commerce, I believe. Actually, that's not an option. Oh, they've removed some options. Okay, so we have different options: business supplies, civil engineering, consumer electronics, e-learning. So you can really niche down. If you want to focus on entertainment, you can select that industry. But I recommend not niching down at first because it can really limit your ability to secure other clients. And you don't know if an industry is good until you've worked in it for a little while. Now, I told you before that joining LinkedIn groups is something that you want to do in order to expand your ability to connect with people. Now, if someone is in your LinkedIn groups, they're going to be considered kind of a second degree connection. It bumps them up in the order of operations, and they're going to see, oh wow, I'm in this group with this person. Okay, there's instantly that know, like, and trust. So let's go ahead and take a peek. Awesome, we've got a ton of great options. Now we are going to connect. Now here's the interesting thing. Everyone says, should I add a personal note on my invitation? Actually, no. It triggers something in people's head that decreases your acceptance rates. So just send it now. Go down the list and connect with all of your potential leads. As you can see, we're going to be pretty busy here because we've got quite a few pages of potential leads. Now here's an awesome pro tip. It's a million times easier on mobile. When you connect with people on your mobile, you're able to quickly add so many people that it's a breeze. It's totally worth it. So sometimes I'll be sitting in bed and I'll just go ahead and connect with tons of new people. Honestly, you're going to love mobile. It's not as targeted as searching on your desktop, but it is still 100% viable. Now, if you hit a hiccup and you hit the maximum number of connections that you can send out before they've replied, or you hit any issues, I'm going to show you exactly how to fix that. So you have to just take back some of your requests, rescind those requests, and I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. Ready? Now, if you hit a limit and for some reason something goes wrong, it's not allowing you to connect with more people, there's a way to actually rescind your offers. So we're going to go ahead and go to My Network here up at the top, go to Manage All, and then sneak on over to Sent Invitations. There you're going to see all of your invitations that have not been accepted by people. So I'm going to go ahead and select those and withdraw them. This basically resets the limit for you, and you can actually go through and withdraw all of your non-accepted invitations if it's been a while and they're starting to stack up. That's going to basically free your profile back up to connect with new people without raising any red flags. Okay, time to dive on in. You have to connect, 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 connect. Do you get the point? I'm talking hardcore connecting.
Hold up.
Now it's time for the scary stuff. You ready for it? So you've been making tons and tons of connections, right? I hope you're hitting connect, 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 connect all day and night and in your sleep and on a date, right? So the purpose of connecting with the network, and one of the things that might surprise you, is some people might reach out faster than you have a chance to send them the perfect LinkedIn pitch. It's kind of powerful. So I'm going to show you how to access those newfound connections in order to send them the perfect LinkedIn pitch. So in order to find your new connections, what you're going to do is simply go to My Network, and you're going to click right here, See All. Now, the one thing I do recommend, since it's going to show you your most recent connections, what I recommend is taking note of where you leave off. So if you start to, work through here and you message each person, you send them the message, you write out the template or paste the template here, customize it for their name and their business, and let's say you leave off here at Ray Edwards. What I would recommend is writing down Ray Edwards is where you left off, and it was approximately page 4 or 5 or whatever it is. I guess actually there's not pages on here anymore. So you would say I left off at Ray Edwards. So then you scroll down the page, get the page to load a decent amount because it's going to go through all your connections, and then go ahead and search for Ray Edwards. So just take a note of where you're at so that way you don't lose track and start to double up on messages. Now, when it comes to what you want to send potential prospects as a pitch, there are 2 different ways to go about it. There's the slow process, which is very personalized, it's very customized, it includes a thorough look into the background. This can work really, really well. I'm a fan of the slow and personalized approach. I am also a fan of more of the fast approach, which uses a mass market approach, use a template. It's a little less in depth. So I've actually created for you guys total of 4 versions, either 3 or 4 versions of the template that you can use. One is intended for slow and one is intended for fast. And you'll see those separated in the link beneath this video. But basically, if you're going to do kind of like the shotgun approach, you have to get out as many as possible. So be connecting night and day, sending out messages all the time. Just make sure to customize the template for the first name, your name, their business name. Now, if you're going to use this slow and really intentional process, then what I recommend is really taking note of their business. I will say I recommend this more for people who are a little more advanced. If you're newer, I recommend more of the fast mass template method. Because if you're advanced, you know how to do a little bit of research, figure out what the keywords are, kind of identify needs or holes in their strategy. If you're newer and you're like, I'm not comfortable with that yet, that's totally fine. That's what those templates are there for. So are you ready? You have connections that you need to be pitching. Go for it.
Hold up.
We like to get social. Let's do it. Socializing on LinkedIn. Now, here's the thing about LinkedIn that most people don't realize, and it's kind of a secret power for us because we know this now. So LinkedIn actually makes it really, really easy to get reach if you focus on connections and relationships. The power of LinkedIn is that you don't have to reach everybody. It doesn't have to go viral to Facebook proportions in order for you to reach tons of people and bring tons of eyeballs and potential prospects to your network. So the crazy part about LinkedIn is that just a little bit of engagement goes a long way. So you want to get as social as you can with your connections so that they actually do the marketing for you. Now, the beauty of LinkedIn is since it's so open and since you've made your profile not private, you've decided to make it public. What happens is when someone comments, likes, shares one of your posts on LinkedIn, whether it's an article or whether it is just a post that you've created in your feed, then what happens is essentially their entire network can see it. So there's a very instantly viral effect that can happen. And so I'm a big believer in using what you've learned in SMU for content creation and content curation and posting on social media to build your LinkedIn presence, your LinkedIn reach, and your connections. So start posting on LinkedIn. I make a goal of a couple times a week in order to get as many people to my profile as possible. The crazy part is you might only have a couple hundred connections, and one of your posts could potentially see thousands of people, which is phenomenal. So you're going to get social. You're going to engage with the posts that you see in your Facebook feed. That means leaving a comment, dropping a like, tagging someone else in it, or sharing it with your friends. So now you know there's no excuse for you to not be social on LinkedIn and grow your following and your reach and your connections massively. Social is absolutely everything on LinkedIn. I'm going to show you exactly how easy it is to actually implement this. So to engage with your social following, your connections on LinkedIn, it's just this simple. Ready? We're going to go ahead and like, comment, and then let's scroll down just a little bit, and we're going to say awesome. And I'm going to tag my business partner Caleb, and he's going to wonder why, and that's okay. There we go. I can't spell my own business partner's last name. I'm going to tag someone in this, and I am going to share. So I'm going to go ahead and share. I could add my own thing right here. This is amazing. And then go ahead and post it. It is that simple.
Hold up.
So since you signed up for your 30-day free trial of LinkedIn Premium, you're going to actually get a package of credits towards InMail. InMail is a little bit different in that you're able to connect with people that you have no connections with. Now, by connect, I mean talk to, not necessarily connect with on LinkedIn, though it may lead to a connection, which is awesome. InMail is basically like a cheat sheet. It's a code to quick get into the inbox of anybody. So I'm going to teach you guys how to handle InMail like an expert. Now, with your InMail, you want to be very, very careful. You want to be very slow and intentional because you're only going to have 15 to 30, and then you have to pay for more. Usually on the trial of Business or Sales Navigator, I see between 15 and 30. So you have 15 to 30 touch points to reach out to dream prospects. Think of 15 to 30 businesses that are in a size range that you comfortably could work with. Don't obviously shoot for Coca-Cola and Richard Branson necessarily, unless you just want to use one of them as a fun Hail Mary. But you're going to create 15 to 30 dream prospects and ultimately do research on those companies. This is where you're going to want to do those really beautiful handcrafted pitches that you have put some time and effort into. Now you're going to craft a pitch as if your life depends on it. I know that sounds super dramatic, but here's the thing about a pitch. You have to get through to people. And ultimately with an InMail, you've cut through the noise, through the clutter, and you're appearing in a VIP's inbox. So you want to make sure that they want to read it and they want to respond. When you want to send an InMail, what you're going to do is go to the person's profile that you want to reach. Now, I don't currently have any InMail credits, but if I wanted to InMail this person, I would be able to select this drop-down button right here, and there's going to be an option to send an InMail, which is awesome. Would I like to be connected with Lori Grenier? Yes, absolutely. So as you can see, it's a silver bullet right on into anyone's inbox. So use them very, very wisely. What I recommend, like I said, is creating a dream 15 to 30 clients and then use your InMail to reach out to the decision maker in those companies. Got it? You are ready for expert level InMail.
Hold up.
Now, if there's one area, okay, maybe there's two, that LinkedIn isn't a dream platform in, it is in business pages. The other is in advertising, but we'll hit on that in the next module. So I know you might be watching this thinking, well, if business pages on LinkedIn aren't awesome, why are you teaching us this, Rachel? Here's the thing. You're going to have clients who are going to want you to create and grow a business page for them. So you may as well be prepared knowing this is not going to be as simple as growing a Facebook page, an Instagram feed, or even a Twitter profile. So let's dive on in. First and foremost, I want you to know that business pages on LinkedIn do not grow easily. I cannot emphasize this enough. If your client has big expectations for a following on their LinkedIn page, they better have a whole lot of connections or money to back it up. So you're going to create the page or claim the page, and then you're going to ultimately optimize the profile. The chances are, if your client needs help with their business page on LinkedIn, they have not taken the time to fully optimize that page's profile. So I'm going to show you exactly how you would do that. So to access pages, you are going to go ahead and select the drop-down menu and choose the page that you want to set up or optimize. So what you're going to do is you're going to actually go on in to the overview and fully optimize every single section on this page. Now keep in mind, the more words that you have that are keywords that are rich, it's similar to a blog in SEO if you're familiar. The more of those you can have here in the description, that's going to be helpful. Add in specialties, website URL, everything that you can in order to maximize your chances of people finding your company's page. Now, a couple of cool hacks for getting people to follow the page. Number one, you can invite the team to like the page. So if they have a big team, maybe it's 75 people, maybe it's a couple hundred, maybe it's even a couple thousand, invite everyone within the business to like and follow the page. Then you're going to encourage everyone on the team to share all posts from the business page or like or comment so that it gets bumped up in everybody's feed, including their connections. This is going to increase the chances of being discovered organically. You're going to want to rely on the foundations of content marketing and inbound marketing. Your goal is to bring people in to you, right? So post based on the 3 E's. I teach you all about the 3 E's. Engage, educate, and entertain. So hop on into that training in SMU and see how you can apply this to your client's LinkedIn business page. Now this is huge. Sometimes people want to create product pages within their pages. Don't do this because it's going to split your following. People aren't going to know whether they should follow the product, whether they should follow the page. They're going to ultimately end up not wanting to follow anything at all. So don't use product pages no matter what. Now I will say ads do help a lot, which is why I'm glad that I'm going to be sharing with you in the next module exactly what you should expect when it comes to ads. Ads can help to grow your page significantly, but it's really expensive, as I'll dive into in the next module.
Hold up.
Hey guys, so we are going to dive on into an intro to LinkedIn advertising. Now, this is going to be not so much a technical how to, but rather knowing whether and when a client may or may not want to consider using LinkedIn advertising. Now, LinkedIn advertising is right for certain circumstances. It's not every single client. It's actually probably going to be not most clients, to be totally honest. So, who it's right for is enterprise level B2B solutions. So, really expensive packages. For example, if you had a high ticket service of $3,000 to $5,000 a month and they signed a 1-year contract, that might make sense. It's going to want to be an expensive package, an expensive solution. Otherwise, it's not going to make sense to use LinkedIn advertising. It makes sense in B2B industries that have a converting funnel and they know their CPA, so what you can pay to acquire a customer, and the lifetime value of a customer, so that way ultimately you can decide, even if your LinkedIn advertising is extremely expensive, is it within your target CPA? If your client knows these numbers, then you stand a chance at potentially running ads on LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is really powerful in that it generates the highest visitor to lead conversion at 2.74%, and that is on cold traffic. But what the crazy part is that the cost per click on LinkedIn can be as high as $10 to $60 a click, which is absolutely insane if you guys aren't aware. So it makes sense for certain clients based on their package sizes, if they know their CPA, their LTV. But we are going to dive in more into LinkedIn ads for when you have a client that it's appropriate for, who has the right expectations in place. We're going to dive all the way into LinkedIn ads, how to set them up. Yes, they're expensive, but here's how to do it in Elite 2.0, which is available when you purchase Elite. You get Elite 2.0 and 1.0 as an awesome bonus.
Employers themselves. So people started sending me, and these were like strangers that were sending me job listings and kind of advice for interviewing and things like that. So people were becoming more and more invested in my story. And I ended up finding my dream job in 2 weeks, turned down 4 job offers in the process, which like it's never happened before. You know, I was going on 3 to 4 interviews every single day. And when I wrote the article that did go viral, it was actually more of like an update for my connections than anything. It was kind of like, guys, like I found a job and I just want to let you know and put it out there. And I knew pretty early on, and Rachel, I'm sure that you can kind of relate